as we have this national reckoning with sexual assault and harassment, it's reasonable to hold the people who represent us in Congress and elsewhere to a high standard. And I think that while concerns about due process are certainly valid, it's also true that this wasn't a criminal case. And so it's reasonable for us to ask Franken to, some of his colleagues asked him to resign. Some argued that
actually a few of them didn't, but that's about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Some suggested that this ethics committee investigation should go forward, but I don't think that justice has been ill-served by his departure.
I am really discomfited by this process, and I'm going to explain why. We have a situation right now, and I'm not, by the way, I thought it was totally appropriate for Congressman Conyers to resign. And by the way, we have another Republican Congressman, Blake Farenthold, who paid he didn't pay it, an $84,000 settlement of a sexual harassment claim was paid out of the government treasury. I believe he now says he'll foot the bill, but be that as it may, if you settle a sexual harassment case, you can't complain about lack of due process. With Congressman Conyers, there were very credible and on-the-record claims of people who claimed very serious forms of sexual harassment. And I just want to say all forms of sexual harassment and assault are serious, but there is a continuum. I'm uncomfortable, not necessarily with a process that would end with Senator Franken's resignation, but I'm concerned with how this process has been speeded up. And you correctly pointed out that this is not a criminal case, and so we don't have to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But that doesn't mean that due process concerns aren't implicated here, and we do have a process. The process is called the Senate Ethics Committee. He's being run out of town, essentially, from some complaints that are on the record and some complaints that are anonymous. That gives me pause. It gives me pause that we have, for example, one of his colleagues, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey, is under criminal indictment, and the Senate is waiting to act on him while he was found, the jury hung in the first trial. He may be retried. In any event, whatever happens with that, the Ethics Committee will look at his process. I'm a little concerned that this is so speeded up in the case of sexual harassment, though I would agree that normally under the previous circumstances, things have been the opposite of speeded up, way too slowed down. And I'm also a little concerned that we're basically punishing every act of misconduct with the same essentially political death sentence here.
You say political death sentence. I mean, we talk about due process. It's very easy to slip into a mindset of crime and punishment, right? And I think that the point that I would make is that I don't think it's a death sentence in metaphorically at all. He's holding a highly prestigious office. He has, as he said, he has had the great honor to represent the people of Minnesota. That his having to step down from that office doesn't strike me as anywhere close to a death sentence. He's stated that he intends to remain involved in politics in other ways. So I don't think that this is a case of sort of ritual stoning or anything of that sort. It's just that he's shown himself to perhaps not be able to hold this office that has been bestowed upon him.